हेलो फ्रेंड। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त and today we are going to learn what is version control. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in the introductory part of version control. One is what is version control. Later we will talk about why do we need version control system. Then we will talk about version control types, and then later we will talk about the benefits of version control, why we should use version control in our infrastructure, and then I'll talk about the tools which will let you use the service of version control. So friend, so here are some examples which I have taken here, some of the points that I'll elaborate here. Let's talk about the first point about version control. Version control is a system that records changes to a file or a set of files, codes, over time so that you can recall specific versions later. Means, like, let's say that some of the developers are working on the code, or you're working on the files, or you're working on a shell script, or you are working on some file which is very important. So sometimes what happens, like, you need to keep the copy of your file. So in that situation, what you do, you can use the version control systems, and it will keep the version, it will keep the copy of your original file, so that you can recover if something goes wrong. If sometimes it has been deleted, then you can recover it back. The next option is, like, the next point of version control system is, if you're a graphic or a web designer and want to keep every version of an image or a layout, then it allows you to revert files back to a previous state, revert the entire project back to the previous state, compare changes over time, see who last modified something that might be causing a problem. So this way, like, it will track, or it will keep all the information about the files update, files modifications, file adding, file delete. So this way, if something happened wrong, so this will give you the all information that you can take it back, or you can recover it back in the previous state. Correct. So here are some diagrams which have been taken from the web, and this may clear your picture in your mind. So see, like, you don't have any, like, server, like, you have make your own laptop, you make your own desktop as a repository. You create a folder and you copy the file from one location to another location, and this way you keep multiple version of your file here. Like, you have a single file and you have keep version of, you keep multiple copy of this file, like version 1, version 2, version 3. So this way what happened, like, you keep three versions copies of your original file. So in that situation, if something happened, then you can recover this file, version 1, version 2 types of file you can recover back. But friend, sometimes what happened, like, you are willing to change, you are willing to do some modification in version 2 file, and uh, but but by mistake you have changed version 3. So this way if something goes wrong, then you are not capable to take it back. Okay, so you have to take version control, like, you will lost your version control, version 3 file. Okay, so in, like, take another example of version means, like, let's say you are working in some applications. First we have prepared some application software, so that will be let's suppose that will be a beta version. So version 1, let's suppose it's a beta version, is a version 1. Later on, version 1 became a stable version and you're working on version 2. So this will be a development, under developing version, under developing copy of us of project or codes. So in that situation, like, something, like, you want to change in version 1 and you would change by mistake on version 3. So this way what happened, like, it will not give you options to take it back, to revert it back. So so that's why the version control is very important in IT infrastructure, for developers, for everyone who is working in IT infrastructure, or they want to make their file safe and secure, right? So before talking about types of version control, let's discuss why we need version control in our infrastructure. Just take an example, like in previous section what was happening, like let's take an example, a very small example. You have a FTP server or you have a Samba server. I mean a space where you have put your Excel file. Okay, so once you open a Excel file, at the same time only one person, I mean who has opened that file first, that person is capable to change that file only. Let's say if your teammate want to do some change in Excel file, they have to wait until you stop working on that file. Okay, so if you once you stop working on that file, your another teammate will start working on that. Let's suppose there are multiple users are working on that file, so one person will work at a time and another will wait for him to finish. I mean, so like you can understand like what are the sequences are being made here, like are being a hold here, like one is working and another one is sitting like comfortably and he's waiting that person to be stopped. Okay, so this way the thought has came in market and people has made the technology which is called version control. So this way at the same time you can work on a single file, many people can work, many people can modify, or later they can merge those changes into a single location. Okay, so that version control power, that version control capability. Okay, so I hope that you'd have understanding about like what is version control and why you are using version control in your infrastructure and who can utilize version control in their infrastructures. Okay, so till now we have talked a lot. Now let's see what are the types of version controls. Nowadays, like you can see, like there are two types of version control. One is centralized version control and second one is distributed version control. So let's start with the centralized version control. Okay, I hope that you are making like I'm making you understand. So the centralized version control is like the main difference of these two classes are like centralized VCS, I mean version control systems, keep the history of changes on a central server from which everyone requests the latest version of the work and pushes the latest changes. I mean, there is one person is standing, okay, and he's at the central locations, and two people came together and want to keep the copy of that file. So he gave the file to that central person, and the central person will be responsible for sharing the file in between two. Okay, so in that situation, like everyone is working. I mean, taking another example, like in a company, like there is a project, and there will be a team leader. So the team leader will be able to distribute modules or the code files to every developers to work on. Okay, so what happened like that every developer will work and he will share that code with the team leader. So he will be the central point where all developer is going to store their modification, adding or deletion of the files. Okay, so in that situation, those kind of situation is called centralized version control. Okay, so for having the more and like to have the more understanding about the centralized version control, we can see the example of here. Like this is the central server, and all the history, I mean all logs, all files, history and information will held on centralized server. Or developer A and developer B will be working on that file. If he has to take anything, he will contact to central server. Hey, contract central server, I need this file, I need the version, I need these logs, so just give me back. So developer will be requesting for any changes, for any updates, or for any commits. So in that situation, what happened? Like everything is being managed on central server, and developers are requesting for any changes to the central servers. So this way centralized servers work. Correct? Okay, so let's move to the distributed version control. So guys, the distributed version controls now, like the problems, what was the problem with the centralized location, what I was saying, centralized version control. So the different, like if the team leader is not there, I mean, you can say that if the team leader is not there, a developer will be not able to request. They will not able to give like generate the request for any update, for any changes, for any modifications. I mean, there will be a single point of failure. If central server has gone, I mean, he's dead, then no developer will be able to get the logs or get the history or get the request from the server to update the files. Correct? So that's why the distributed version control in the market, and he has been surrounded with the very good benefits. So what are the benefits is there? There is no benefits actually. I mean, everyone has a local copy of the entire work's history. I mean, developer 1, developer 2, developer 3, they are working on the code, and they will be responsible for taking care of their codes. Okay, so they will keep the local repository and their system environment, right? This means that it is not necessary to be online to change revisions or add changes to the work. I mean, for the centralized version control, you have to be online. But here in distributed version control, like if you're working from home or you are on leave and trying to add some code or trying to do some modification into the file or codes. So in that situation, what happened? Like you can utilize distributed version control, and it will help you to write the code independently, and then come back after 7 days, after 5 days, and merge your code with the existing code or with the existing developers' codes. So this will make you very happy. You don't have to be online. This will work in offline systems, right? So for the better understanding, you can take this example. So in these examples, what is happening, like these are the developers working, and they are having, like they have their own repository, and they have their own working copy, and if they are making any request for the update or commit, so they are doing locally. Now once they are done with the local systems, they will push or pull repository to the central server. So I'm not saying that there will not be any central server. There will be central server and distributed version control, but if central, but we are removing single point of failure. Okay, if central server has down, then everyone will have their own code, and they can share each other and they can work. Okay, so this way, like if this repository has been deleted or central server has been deleted, we can take it back this server, and then we can push code from any of the developer systems. So this server will have again the same copy that it was previously. So this way we can say that distributed version control is better than centralized version control. So it depends on your requirement, like what kind of requirement you have. So if you have a requirement, then you can use centralized version control, or if you have a requirement, I mean work scenario, then you can go for this distributed version control. This is up to you. Okay, I hope I have make you understand about version control and their types. Correct. Now let's talk about the benefits, which is very important. Okay, so without benefits, nobody is going to use version control. Correct. So here I have mentioned 2 version control benefits, but there can be more. You can make your own point, but I have 2 points to share with you guys. So one is version tracking, and second one is coordinating teams. What is version tracking? Basically, like developers may wish to compare today's version of some software with yesterday's version or last year's versions. Since version control systems keep track of every version of the software, so this becomes a straightforward task. So what a straightforward task is, like you can recover your copy if whatever copy you have worked in a previous days, previous years. So this way you can recover with the version control systems, you can recover your file no matter when you have to work. But if you want to recover those data, it will be uh, it will be your call. or it will help you to recover your previous data. Second one is coordinating teams. Coordinating team means like resources like development is usually carried out by teams, either co-located or distributed. Version control is essential to coordinate teams of the contributors. It lets one contributor to work on a copy of the resources and then release their changes back to the common core when ready. So this way, like you can, like many developers can work together and they can make their own modules, and they can make their code for them for their own modules, and they can merge those modules together. So this makes teams to work together, and they ask the version control gives you the facility that you can coordinate, like the teams can be coordinated for the codes and for the checkouts, right? Now the last point is tools. What kind of tools can give you a VCS, I mean version control system services? So here are some list, and there can be more, but these are the important tools which is being used into the market, like SVN, GIT, Perforce, Google Code, Code Commit. So a lot of tools are there into the market, but these tools are being used, or I have used more, you can say that. So these tools you can use to get the version control service. So friend, these are the version control. This is all about the version controls. So now we have came to know about version controls and its benefits and when we can use the version controls. So that's it for today's class. In the next class, I'm going to put practical of version control. I'm going to use SVN or GIT to make you more understanding about the version control and how it works. So my dear friend, don't forget to subscribe or like this video so that we can improve more and more. Thank you very much for watching this video.